All right, I guess I better do this. Well, as you all know, Tom is back. Um, just straight off the bat, I'm happy about it. I'm not giddy about it. I'm not like losing my mind. I keep forgetting the camera's over here. um, I'm not losing my mind like I did, say when the last time that they got back together. But then again, that was what 2009. I was 19. That was a very different time. I'm a very different person. I'm going to be 33 soon, which is just insane. Um, but yeah, they announced that Tom was back in the band. They announced a tour. They announced a new song, which comes out tomorrow. Spoiler alert, I have heard it. It's been making the rounds. We'll get to that though. But so far, um, I I'll be honest. I knew that this was coming. I don't really follow the Blink stuff that much anymore, but I have a lot of friends that do, and a lot of people that share these things with me. So I knew that things were happening. I knew that it was more than just speculation, and I mean the evidence was there. I mean it really wasn't hard to figure out that Mark and Tom were playing together, and that Matt was basically being ostracized and was left in the dark. I mean, he's doing his Alkaline Trio thing, which he'd been doing, you know, in the meantime with Blink anyway. I mean, they put out Is This Thing Cursed, and that album was good. But anyway, I made a post a couple days ago before the announcement actually dropped on Instagram saying um, that essentially I don't really care about a tour. I don't go see a lot of bands these days anyway because it takes a lot out of me to go to a show. I'm not really into it. And I mean, if I lived in like a big city and going to a show was like a walk down the street or something, that'd be one thing. But it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, no matter what I want to do. Um, and anyway, I've seen Blink 4 times. I saw them in '03, '04, '09, and 2011. And as much as I loved seeing them when I was younger, I know what to expect these days. I know that they're not the best musicians. I know that they're not the best performers. I'm sure it'll be a fun show. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be a hater. Um, but if I went and saw a band like 4 Year Strong, for example, who is a pop punk band that I am still currently interested in and still listen to a lot, they really go for it. They are very talented. They put on a really tight show. I mean, they're more about the music. They don't like joke around and goof off and whatever like Blink will, but that's more what I'm into these days. Um, so I don't really care about a tour. By now, I have heard about some of the prices of these tickets. I've heard as low as like $100 for some tickets or around there, but I've heard like on average these tickets are going $200-300 or more, which is crazy. I wouldn't spend that much money to go see Blink 182. Um, I think it's great that they're touring with Turnstile. I've really gotten into them the last year or so. That was actually because of a post that Haley Williams made, just talking about how much she loved that band. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested in the things that she likes. So I went and checked them out, and the new album is great. I've been diving in a little bit into the later ones, so I think that's a really cool matchup. That's the type of music I'm into, the more experimental, the heavier, the more riffy kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm really not interested in seeing them live again. It's just not really my thing these days. If this was at the point where my young daughter was, 10, 12, 13 years old or whatever, then yeah, I would probably be like, okay, let's go. Let me show you something that I was into. Um, when I was your age, the thing that really opened my eyes to, this sort of scene. But that's not the case. She's 7 months. I'm not bringing her to a show. Um, but like my friend had mentioned, he's like, "Oh, I'm definitely going because I'm bringing my son." His son is, I don't know, like 4 or 5 or something, but that's a different situation. I don't need to go see them. Um, that's his case. So anyway, um, I really am only interested in the music these days. I also continued this in my Instagram post. I am interested to hear what Mark and Tom and Travis can come up with these days. Um, I really was hoping that John Feldman steered clear of the band. I hated his involvement with the California album. Um, I heard he was still involved with Nine, but I'll be honest, I still haven't listened to Nine, and I really don't have any interest to. I did actually think it would be funny to do a video, maybe where I did like a tier list of all the songs from Nine by like actually listening to them like as I go and sticking them on a tier list. But I don't know how to get all that stuff going, and plus I just don't really have the time. But that would be a funny idea. Um, but anyway, I mean, when when it comes down to it, I mean, I feel like they make fun music together, and I think that they make better music together than separately. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's greater than the sum of its parts. I really didn't care for Blink without Tom, and I really haven't been in love with Angels and Airwaves since he left Blink. I'll be honest. Um, I forget when Dreamwalker came out. That might have been like 2014. So yeah, Tom might have been gone by then. I forget. Or it might have been right around the time that Tom left Blink, because I'm pretty sure he left Blink in October of 2014. Yeah, because I've been hearing that it was exactly 8 years that his last show with Blink was, that they announced his return, which is pretty cool. October 11th, I guess. And um, I don't know. I mean, I liked Dreamwalker a lot, but anything since then, Chasing Shadows was good, but that was just an EP. But I mean, the most recent album, I listened to that thing maybe twice because it was just kind of forgettable. I really didn't think it was that great. Um, but I don't know. I think that it makes sense to stay together, um, and just have fun. Not put any pressure on yourselves. You don't have to put out an Element of the State album, every couple years. I mean, just put out fun music. You could do like an EP here, there, or whatever. You don't have to try to shoot for the fences every time. I feel like even their worst stuff together is better than a lot of their stuff separately. That's the way that I feel. Um, that being said, I have heard the song. Um, it's like I said, it's been making its rounds. I think it's decent. I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty sure I've been hearing a lower quality version. Um, I'm not sure. Um, the song sounds pretty good. It's nice to hear them playing together. I wish that the singing was more like more harmonies. I mean, there's the obvious harmonies like in the choruses, but the first verse is like all Tom, the second verse is all Mark, and there's almost no overlap with them. I mean, I really like, not necessarily like the call and response, which I mean is cool, but I wish there was just more layers, and I wish there was just a little bit more going on vocally. Drums are fine. You don't really have to worry about Travis. I don't really like the way the drums sound though, and at least in the version that I'm hearing, and the guitars are pretty pretty lackluster. I mean, let's be honest. They could be a little bit more interesting. There isn't really a riff. I mean, there's like a little hook like in the verses that kind of goes along with the when they're repeating that lyric, like sometimes it's like get the rope, get the rope, get the rope, and then they're like later in the song there's they're repeating like a couple other lines where the guitar is like doing the slide up, which I mean kind of hooks you, but it's not a riff, you know. It's not like Damn It. It's not like Anthem Part 2 or something like that. So I mean, I'll always want that as a guitar player. An easy listener who isn't maybe a musician probably won't care, which is fine. Um, but I mean, overall, I dig the song. I think it's cool. I don't think that it's song of the year by any means, but Blink and all the Blink guys, whenever they put something out, I mean, I've said this before. I feel like the first single is always the worst song on the album, and I don't know why that is. I mean, that happened a lot with Angels and Airwaves. I can't remember off the top of my head what some of these were. Um, I think like Anxiety was one of them. Hate that song. Um, Everything's Magic, I think, was one of them for maybe I Empire. Was that the first single? I forget. But that one's definitely a weaker song on that album, and so on. So I'm hoping that the rest of the record is a little bit more experimental, maybe has a little bit more guitars. Um, and I hope that the mix really shows off the guitars, because at least in the the song that I've heard, maybe it's low quality, or maybe the mix just isn't what I want. Because I really want it to sound like a punk rock song. I want it to have those really forward guitars. I want it to be bassy. This doesn't really seem bassy or um, guitar driven, and it feels like it's mixed more like a pop song than a punk rock song or a pop punk song. Um, and I don't know. I heard that John Feldman isn't part of this project. Apparently, from what I'm hearing, Aaron Rubin is doing stuff with them, which Tom has done on Angels and Airwaves a bit in the last few years. He's not my first choice, but I'll take him over Feldman, like I said. Um, but I don't know. I'm happy with it. I mean, if this song came out from any other band, I'm gonna be completely honest, I wouldn't listen to it again. I would probably just say it's not that good and just toss it. But because it's Tom and Mark together, and Travis, obviously, um, it means more to me. I mean, I can't lie about that. I'm not just gonna toss it, in the bin just because of what it is. I mean, it means more to me than that just because it's them. I can't help that. I grew up with them, and um, I I don't know. I feel like a lot has happened in the 8 years since they last played together. I mean, it's been close to 10 years since they put out new music together. I mean, the Dogs Eating Dogs EP was a great set of songs, and as much as I've dogged Neighborhoods a little bit, I mean, I didn't say it was too bad, but some of those songs were a little weaker, and the production wasn't great, and you could kind of tell that they didn't really work together. There was very clearly Tom songs and Mark songs. It was still a different time for me. I mean, 10 years ago, at this point, that album was 11 years ago. I was so big on Blink. I mean, I was huge on Blink, and I mean, it was to the point where that album leaked. I'm pretty sure, maybe like a week early or something. I left work early. I'm sick. Went home, immediately found the download for it, and put it on a CD. Went in my car, or I think I put it on my iPod when I still had that. And yeah, I just drove around and listened to the album, and I think I was like nearly brought to tears. And that's not necessarily because of how good the music was. It was just because of how much they meant to me, especially after they broke up, between 2005 and 2009. So at that point, they hadn't put out an album, like 2003 to 2011. So yeah, 8 years. So this is another 8 year stretch. And like I said, I'm just not the same person anymore. Um, I like different things. You know, I'm more into more guitar driven, a little harder stuff, you know, whatever. But it's still really cool to see. I mean, it's crazy to see the reaction. I mean, just watching my YouTube channel analytics, like I haven't put out anything Blink related in God, probably at least a year. I don't even know. I haven't even put out much for videos this whole year, and just since Tom's return, I mean, my video views have like tripled just out of people revisiting all this stuff because they're excited, and I think that's cool. Um, but I don't know. I'm excited. I'm not going to go out to a show, but I, I I'm glad that they're back together, and I don't know. I hope I'm hoping for a bit more out of the production and the mix. Like I said, the engineering of the album. But as far as like the songwriting, I would I would take pretty much the bare minimum out of those guys working together over, you know, just Tom doing Angels and Airwaves or just Mark with Matt Skiba. I love Matt Skiba. Don't get me wrong. I've been an Alkaline Trio fan for 20 years, but there's just something about those guys together that means something to me, and clearly a lot of other people. And I think that's worth something. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm not fangirling or anything. But it is a good feeling because, man, like I said, a lot has happened in these 8 years. A lot. And that was the biggest thing that really blew me away. I was like, crap, it's been 8 years since he's been in Blink. 8 years. And I mean, 2014, so much has happened since then. I mean, I have a daughter now. I've written 4 albums, 2 EPs. I've gotten to work with some of my favorite musicians. I've befriended other musicians who, I've looked up to. I mean, there's been so much. It's incredible, just when you just stop to think how much happens in that time and how much changes and how much stays the same. I don't know. I don't mean to get philosophical on you guys. I'm going to stop talking now, but hopefully my thoughts were, I don't know what you were expecting. I guess this is what I got. I don't have time these days to really focus on like real videos. I mean, I'm taking this on my break at work. I'm in my car, like I said, and I'm going to upload it straight to YouTube. I'm not even going to edit it or anything because it's just too much time. I go home and I'm on daddy duty. I mean, that's just it. I don't have a lot of time to play guitars, but hopefully soon. I probably won't do a cover of this song, Edging. I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe, I'll say maybe. I really don't know. I know people will be looking for it, and I don't know if I'm that guy anymore. There's a lot of other people out there that can do it too. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. Thanks for giving a shit. And I don't know. Until next time.